April 92, 181, volume 181, number 4. An 18.5 billion a year business tourism earns 10% of Spain's income. Most of the more than 50 million visitors head for Mediterranean resorts, but overbuilding, pollution, and a strong peseta are eroding their appeal. Everything has changed. Everything, my cab driver told me as he nonchalantly shoved the car away from the curb at Madrid's Marjalles International Airport and hurled us into the endless stream of traffic heading into the city. He jumped from lane to lane as if dodging invisible gunfire, and like most Madrid drivers, appeared unacquainted with his brakes. When I first came to Madrid in 1954, he shouted back to me, over the buffeting rush of hot air pouring through the open windows, there was no traffic. There were hardly any traffic lights. It wasn't necessary. No one had cars. Now you can't move for traffic. By the time of opening ceremonies of July 25th, Barcelona will boast an expanded airport, 24 new hotels, 864 acres of new parks, almost doubling the amount of green space in the chronically overcrowded city, a new coastal highway, etc. From 1960 to 1988, tourism grew at such a phenomenal rate that many people thought it would never end. Jose Antonio Aldico, head of the Tourist Information Service, told me the worry now is that it may have. Insensitive overdevelopment of the Mediterranean coastline, an abundance of jerry-built hotels, and the sheer crush of overcrowding have acted as barriers to many discerning visitors. To give you an example, right here in Palma, Pastor goes on, every year seagrasses wash onto the beaches. Ecologically, this is a good thing because it helps prevent erosion, but the leaves are thought unsightly, so they are cleared up. As a result, the beaches erode. To counteract this, sand is pumped onto the beaches from the seabed, and this kills the marine life. So at great expense, we disrupt the natural cycles simply so that tourists can have pristine beaches. It's a little crazy, don't you think? The same thing with people cutting lawns. All those loud noises from the blowers, dams, are actually very harmful to the environment. Florida has also been more willing than Georgia or almost any other state to float bond issues and allocate general spending for land acquisition because it has seen how quickly development can eat up the countryside and threaten the water supply. She sold the lease, moved to Alice Springs, then a town of some 18,000. She didn't like it. I hate feeling fettered. So in 1986, she acquired the pastoral tourist lease around the original Endado homestead. I don't expect to make much money. I don't want too many people to find me. You'd lose the feeling of isolation. Word make is force. Mentioned worry before. Worry is sin. Concern is not because it means you have a plan. False words, bad words, etc. Because here it is white man's country, I tell him. In Hong Kong it is my country. And then he said a very penetrating thing. He said, why we come here in the first place? You see, my sons want to stay here. They like the sports, they like the school, which is easier here than Hong Kong. They like the beauty of the open spaces, and now my wife's whole family is here. So if I go back, Alfie said with a sigh, I go back by myself. As I departed, even the dogs had left the street, and Alfie gave me a wave through his rain-streaked window. Open spaces. It's good. NG, National Geographic, May 94. Volume 185, number 5. I start out in the Philippines at IRRI, the International Rights Research Institute near Manila, where dramatic rights history was made. Financed by the Ford and Rockefeller Foundations, it opened in 1962 amid fear that, and fear is wrong, shouldn't fear, that because Asia's population growth was outstripping its food production, there would be widespread famine. Skipping paragraphs. By now, he adds, the rice plant must be redesigned once more. To keep pace with Asia's still rising population, rice production will have to increase another 60% by the year 2020. India. Such wealth will be sorely needed in the vast growing nation, which already has 900 million mouths to feed. A rangy Vietnam veteran, Hallberg prefers wilderness to a society he believes has gone rotten. This is therapy, being out here, he said that evening, wearily tipping his chair against the wall. Gold is just a bonus. Nothing's ever just. He's doing it because of the overpopulation. People who come here are struck by the power of the mountains, said Ben Stein of the Wrangell Mountains Chain of the Wrangell Mountain Center in McCarthy, which promotes environmental education. In a world as crowded and harassed and polluted as ours, this place can give people a taste of true wilderness and a better understanding of themselves. Skipping down, I've seen it happen before, said trip leader Andy Romanoff. Sometimes people are just struck speechless out here, as if they were the last people on Earth, or maybe the first. Let me go to the paragraph above that. We watched ice thunder into the bay as we perched on a hillside above Guyuk Glacier. Twice after quarter-hour silences, I turned to see my companions had fallen asleep. Were they quieted by the drama of collapsing ice, or by the thoughts of the passage of time as seen in the end of the glacial journey? Okay. I don't call it wilderness, I call it nature. Wild has a negative connotation to it. Just speech, so people are just. No, they're not just. I've already explained just. NG, November 93, Volume 184, Number 5. Today's Greater Taipei's population has swollen to almost 6 million, nearly 30% of the island's total. Zhongshan North Road is one of the many 8-lane boulevards. The city chokes on the fumes of 460,000 cars, 7,300 buses, 38,000 taxis, and 869,000 motorcycles, whose drivers park all over the sidewalks and often drive down them too. I was watching this thing on PBS about Japan. There was people in smog masks on the road. You see this a lot in Asia. And there was, when I went to Hong Kong, even in the airport, the guy who's checking your passport, he's got a mask. And this is a regular thing to them. Also that Japan special, going back to it, there was a woman in a jewelry store, some kind of store, wearing it. And it's completely, it's so unusual looking to us. Because, yeah. What about cutbacks by individuals, meaning you and me? California's drought experience showed that we will conserve when our backs are to the wall. People in Hardin County, Marion County, slashed their use by 63%. Oakland area residents by a third. Both areas continue to draw less water than in pre-drought days. Only when. That's why I say the overpopulation bomb is going to go off. We did a study that showed that half a million Virginians drink polluted water or haul in water or both, said Mrs. Warner. We now realize that it's the greatest single need of the rural poor. She had a determined little band set up to skipping down. For those who must carry water home and boil it before it's drinkable, there's the terrible amount of simple, repetitive drudgery. Worse, if you are dirty, then you stay dirty because there's no water. It tarnishes the spirit. How do you look for a decent job when you can't clean your own body? What a horrible name. Warren. Like war. Not for war and peace. Shortages amid a plenty, even in the wet east. Clean water can run short. Massive populations along the seaboard place severe strains on water supply facilities. This is one of the best maps, 3D, of the U.S. I've ever seen. Page 151.